Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
feel like soon that AI is going to put copywriters, sales copywriters out of business, editors out of business, and podcast editors out of business?
I call it the great shift. I think your job description will change. Depending on the shift, you may have to shift so much that you may be out of that particular job, but I call it your years of experience, the humanity, your entrepreneurship, your secret sauce of what makes you you. You take that plus AI, and together it's going to beat the other human or the best AI out there. So keep that in mind, that it's using both will beat out anything else. And I think you'll still be and have a job, you'll still be able to do stuff because you have years of experience.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Amberly Lago Show. Today on the show, I have a real treat for you. I am so excited to have Dr. Harvey Castro here with us today. Y'all, he is a real life genius. I mean, I am blown away at all this man has accomplished, not just in the medical field, not just in all the businesses that he has owned, but he's a real innovator and an entrepreneur. And there's a lot of talk about AI. And some of you might be a little scared of AI, that it's taken over the world. And some of you might be like me, that you're like, oh, thank goodness for AI. It's making my life so much easier. But he has had just decades of experience as a physician and entrepreneur, CEO, and he's created, I don't know, maybe 30 or more apps, maybe more on the iPhone. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm so grateful that I've got him pinned down here because he's a TEDx talker. He's been featured on over 100 programs on major media, on television. He travels all over the world speaking. So, Dr. Harvey Castro, thank you for taking the time to be on the Amberly Lago Show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Big picture, I've been waiting for this day so we can finally meet and have this conversation. I feel like this is going to be so much fun. So thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Well, as soon as I talked to you on the phone, well, our good friend Kathleen introduced us, and she goes, I think that y'all are going to be a good fit. I think he'd be good for your show. And I talked to you, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have got to have you on the show. Your TED Talk is amazing. All that you're doing is amazing. But I am blown away. And I just actually met Kathleen for lunch, and I was like, he's brilliant. He's so smart. And you're such a great leader. And I have so many people that listen to the show and they want to level up their businesses. They want to do more. And I want to do more with AI. And you are such an innovator and you've created your own platforms. And I'm blown away by that. But first of all, I want to get into the AI, but how have you implemented AI into healthcare systems? And do you have a lot of resistance around that? Are people kind of freaked out with that?
Yeah. Before I jump into that, I just want to give a little quick background about me. Big picture, I'm an ER doctor, but I feel like I've always been this kind of out of the box thinker. And the reason I want to go into that real quick is just to kind of explain. Big picture, I have this story where literally I am rags to success. Grew up with a teenage mom. She and I were basically indigent, and that really pushed me to for more. I knew as a child that I wanted to be a doctor. I knew that I
Wow.
wanted to get out of poverty. And I knew that I didn't have anyone in my family that I could call and say, "Hey, you went to college. Tell me about college. Tell me about applying. Tell me about life." And so I go into that because it really forced me. At age 16, I had my first business and I created my own vitamin company and was able to sell vitamins. And I was able to pay my first car insurance, my first car at age 16. And fast forward throughout my life, I've
What,
done
but wait a
multiple
minute.
businesses.
How did you make your own vitamins?
So I got really lucky. I started with working at a health food store, and the owner of the business he said, Harvey, I want you to memorize every pill that's in this business. And I said, okay, got it. And when I started looking at the inventory, I was stocking the pills. I noticed that if he bought more pills, I would get a discount. So I went up to him. I said, "Hey, if I buy these pills and I promise not to sell to any of the customers, will you give me a percentage of the markup?" And he said, "I'll do you one better. I'll give you everything at wholesale just so that I can get those discounts." And so I still worked for him, but since I was able to make margin and I didn't have any employees, I didn't have to pay taxes. I was a kid. I literally went through anyone I knew, family, friends, and I started pretending to be a doctor. It's like, "Hey, you can't sleep. Have you considered this vitamin? Hey, you want to do X, Y, and Z? Have you tried this?" And I did such a good job of keeping tabs of every single person and what they were buying and what they were getting that I was able to sell them in masses 3 months, 6 months, and keep up. And then I started having passive income because I would just keep selling. Fast forward, I ended up creating my own vitamin pills, label, and then got a doctor to help sponsor it in the sense that I was still a resident, get his signature on it, but I came up with the formula. But I had all the contacts of the manufacturer, the label, and I was able to put that on national stores around the country, and we were able to sell it.
That is unbelievable. You were born to be an entrepreneur, but you used your childhood not to bring you down, but to inspire you to level
Hmm.
up.
Yes, yes. And so I like going over that story more to explain when I go into the healthcare system. To your question, I'm able to look at it with different eyes. I look
Mhm.
at it as, hey, we're all patients here. But what can I do as a doctor, combining my entrepreneur spirit and combining my AI and putting all those three together to create something? And so when I speak, for example, when you saw that TED Talk, I can guarantee you'll probably never see anything in the examples that I gave because I came up with those examples. I came up with combining the doctor and patient. One of the main things is people hate going to the doctor. One of them is the communication between the doctor and the patient. So what I did is I came up with an AI idea that the discharge instructions, we converted them into coloring books, comic strips, and those that can't hear sign language. That way I'm communicating. And so your second part of that question is, how are people taking that? And big picture, medicine is very traditional, and I get it. The stakes are high. And if we can teach doctors how to use AI, we're going to elevate their care that they give. The problem is it's very conservative, and some parts of the country are resistant to AI. And so that's where I love what I'm doing. As a doctor, they trust me. I can say, "Hey, this is how I see medicine. Here's how I see AI helping, and this is what it can do for our patients." And I know what spin to give it so that they hear me.
So, what parts of the country are more resistant to AI?
Interesting enough, I want to say it's more has to do. Um, I've seen more like in the East Texas, West Texas, some of the
Yeah,
smaller
I knew
towns
it.
are giving me a little bit more heck. When I go to Silicon Valley, when I go to California, give talks, I'm getting high fives. When I go to
Yeah.
some parts, I went to, I forget the name of the town in Florida. I got some hard looks when I went on stage and talked about AI. But by the end of the time I was done, they were actually cheering and saw how I see it. And so one of my biggest things that I say, it's all about education.
Hmm.
Just like when you fight with your spouse or someone, once you educate each other on what it is, then you communicate and now you're able to understand and maybe not fight. So that's how my analogy with AI, I explain how it could help us, educate them on the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then they look at it and say, "Okay, I see the spin that you're putting on it. I see this as an asset, and I do want X or Y."
Well, yeah, I knew when I asked that question, I was like, probably Texas might be a little bit resistant because,
Yeah.
I lived in LA for 31 years and it's much more diverse. And I could just imagine when you come to Texas, the good old boys are like, we don't need none of that AI crap over on this in this neck of the woods. So I could only imagine. So what how long ago did you start looking into AI?
So I got to give this quick example. So the iPhone had just had an app store. So it was when the first couple iPhones came out, and I'm
How many
coding a
years
page.
ago? What year was that?
Oh, of course, you're gonna ask me. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm gonna guess like 2007, 8, because I think it came out
Yeah.
in 6, and then I think the App Store came out in 7 or 8. one of those years.
Okay.
And I'm coding a patient, and I tell the nurse, we need to start this medication. And I tell her the dose. And she's like, 1 second, doc. She went, grab a textbook, starts thumbing it through, gets a calculator, calculates, and says, got it. And I'm looking at her and I'm seeing the guy dying in front of me and saying, oh my gosh, when seconds count, I need this medicine like yesterday.
Wow.
And I came up with the idea. I was like, what if I put a drug book on here, calculate all the doses where you tap 3 times and boom, there's your dose. And
Wow.
believe it or not, I was the first person in the world to write an app called IV Meds, and no one had done that prior to me. And that went viral. Everybody around the world was buying it left and right. And the reason I like sharing that story is I was in this office November 30th, 2022, and I'm playing with this thing called ChatGPT. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world. And within minutes, I remember going out like a little kid of this office. I went and talked to my wife, and I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, this thing called ChatGPT, it's going to change the world, and I'm going to write a book on it. And she's like, slow down. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know this thing, ChatGPT. And I explained it to her. She's like, please, honey, do not write that book. People are going to think you're crazy. People don't know what this is, and you're going to have a book out. And I actually wrote it, held it, and then I said, you know what? I'm still going to promote it. And so weeks later, I had the book out.
You
And
are
the reason
kidding. How long did it take you to write the book?
I was on a sabbatical, so basically I didn't have to do anything that month. And I just did nothing but write for about 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness. And now you're an advisor for ChatGPT.
Yes. Well, this is the interesting part. So I'm on stage because of that book. I started getting calls around the world,
You're
and I'm a keynote
kidding.
speaker speaking because people are like, tell us about AI in healthcare. And I'm like, wow, this is how I see it. I literally went to Portugal, literally places all over the world. And I'm in San Diego giving a talk, and I come off the stage, and the head coordinator of the event says, Harvey, the head of Singapore healthcare is in the audience, and he wants to speak to you. Do you have time to have a lunch with him or something? I was like, yes. So I sit down with him, and he's like, Harvey, all the things you said on stage, I've never heard. If you can create that for my country, would you be an advisor for Singapore Health? And I said, of course. And so now I'm advising Singapore on how I see AI in healthcare. The same story 6 months later, I'm in Texas, Dallas, Texas, giving a talk to the Texas Medical Association. And same thing happens. I'm coming off the stage, and the president of the Texas Medical Association says, Harvey, I want to create a board position as an advisor. Will you take it? And I want it to be AI in healthcare. And I paused and I was like, wow. It's like, of course. So now I'm also an advisor for the Texas Medical Association.
Oh my goodness. Well, the first time we talked, I was actually on the step mill and you were about to jump on a plane. You fly all over the place. Are you just advising in country after country and state after state on AI and healthcare?
Right now, a lot of different hospital systems are calling me, different states are saying, hey, Harvey, we have a question about X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And so it's been really fun. And recently, a friend of mine, he's an advisor for the Vatican, and he asked me for some AI healthcare advice. And he said he had me write up something, give it to him, and he said he's passing it on to the Vatican to see if any of my points are something that they want to take on. So it's kind of cool.
Uh, yeah, just a little bit cool. Oh my goodness. This is, and so thank you for taking time to talk with us on the Amberly Lago Show. We're very honored that you're here with us. I know how busy you are, but I'm like, okay, wow. Maybe I could be your security at one of those places that you need to travel if you need security. I got your back. If just saying. And now you're doing TV appearances all the time too. What is your favorite thing to speak about? Do they all want the same thing? Like, tell us about AI and healthcare? Because I know you do other things. You're doing, like, you've helped me. You've sent me AI that now helps out with going through your email, among many other things. AI that can go through a keynote speak and get, I mean, it's
Yes.
unbelievable what it can do. And I remember the first time I learned about ChatGPT and I love ChatGPT. And if y'all don't know what that is, go look it up because it will make your life so much easier. Um, I can be really tired at the end of the day and have somebody ask me a question, and I'm going to admit right now, this happened just the other day. I'm doing an event and they said, "Hey, we like your title, but we've talked it over with the committee and they don't want the word grit in the title of your presentation. Can you give us some different titles for your talk?" So I quickly put in Chat GPT, like, I'm giving a talk about this, this, and this. Give me some dynamic titles for a keynote. And it just spit out all these titles, copy and pasted, sent it to them. I'm like, which one do you like? It made life so much easier. It would have taken 30 minutes for me to do that before. This literally took me 30 seconds. And so I think Chat GPT, of course, I had somebody in my mastermind yesterday say, do you have an example of a contract that I could start using for my coaching clients? And I'm like, yes, I do, but you could also use Chat GPT and plug in exactly what you want, whether it's a 24-hour cancellation policy, money back, like your hours, payment, whatever it is, get very specific, and Chat GPT will spit out exactly the
Mhm.
contract you want. Now you can go in and edit however you want. And then I came up with a playbook, a downloadable playbook, and I had written everything out. And I am not good. I mean, 6 years ago, I'm embarrassed to say, I didn't even own a computer. So it's amazing that I have a podcast and actually have a computer and barely know how to work it. I'm still learning stuff, but it's hard for me to even do Canva or even come up and do edits for pages in this journal that I came up with. I needed to have lines spaced out and I need it to be organized I wanted it to be beautiful. And so I wrote it all out. I plugged it in to Chat GPT and said, make this look pretty. That's all I said. Make it look pretty. Guess what? It designed it and organized it in perfect font format. Done. Had my download. So it's amazing what it can do. I mean, yes, what it can do for healthcare, but also what it can just do in general for those of you who are listening and you're like, I don't understand AI. I've only heard bad things about it or it scares me. It's like, no, it can really be helpful. But thank you for sharing how you grew up, kind of what inspired you to do what you're doing, and giving us the idea of like where you get that fire in you and that innovation in you. But I'm just curious, I have such deep respect for doctors, especially since I went through so many surgeries. Where do you feel like AI and healthcare, how's that going to look even a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now?
Let me give you a story that I like to share when people ask me about the future. Let's just go 10 years from now. Let's pretend hypothetically someone you know is woken up at 2 o'clock because their watch detects something going on with their patient. And it picks up that maybe they're having a heart attack. And so it wakes them up. That person wakes up, turns on the TV, and it does a telemedicine visit with the closest emergency room doctor. The doctor's talking to you in real time, able to analyze your watch and what it's catching, and then saying, we need to see you in the emergency room right away. A Tesla robot shows up, not a human, not a robot, a robotic car as well. They help you walk in. You're in the ambulance and you're still talking to the doctor, but on the feed, it's able to tell if you're diabetic based on your skin, how old you are, your voice, if you're also pre-diabetic, what's going on with you, just all with vision and voice. The doctor says, we need to start an aspirin. And in the ambulance, a printer starts printing a pill. You take that pill, you walk into the emergency room, and the doctor that you had seen finally sees you. Fast forward, you're okay. They end up discharging you home. You get to the house, you urinate, and there's a monitor inside the urinal that is doing over 5,000 metabolites that knows your body chemistry. That information is relayed to the doctor. The doctor calls you immediately and says, you know what, we need to change your medicine, and it starts printing in your house. All of the things I've mentioned exist today. Put them together, we have that future.
Wow. I'm sure some people are freaked out right now because they're like, I don't want somebody monitoring my urine.
Yeah.
Especially those that have to go in and get their urine monitored for, maybe substance abuse or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but wow, that is, and I mean, think about how much it's changed. So much has changed. I'm just amazed with AirDrop. Okay.
Mm.
AirDrop and photos. I'm like, how the heck does that work? Like, that's amazing to me. But, and look, I've got my Whoop charging over here that monitors things. I've got my Aura Ring charging over here. They're both charging. I make sure to wear them when I sleep. But just those kind of things, I think, can be so helpful, and it can save lives. But you're already like dealing with a lot of futuristic things. And our friend Kathleen told me to ask you about glasses. You have some
Let me get
fancy
on.
glasses, I understand.
Yeah, actually, I'm charging them as we speak. Speaking of charging, so I have no stock in these. These are the Meta glasses. These are Ray-Bans. They come in dark. These are transition lens. So if I'm outside, they would turn dark. I hit a button, took a picture of you, and I could say, "Hey, Meta." Uh,
You just took a picture?
yes, I just took a picture.
That is like so 007 right there.
But this is the part that's even better. I can take a picture, talk to the AI, and say, "Hey, this computer monitor, how much money is it?" And it'll take a picture, look at it, run it through a database, and see which one it looks like, and then give me a price range.
Wow. That is wild. So I did a podcast episode with my friend Mitch Matthews, and he was like, "Hey, how do you like my Ray-Bans?" And I was like, "Those are cool." He goes, "They're actually my new headphones." And I was
Yes.
like, "No way." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They're my
Yes.
headphones. I wear them now to podcast." He goes, "Because I had my other glasses that I wear all the time. These look almost identical, and I wear them. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I can't put these on because of my headphones, but basically these have a teleprompter in them,
that's
has
the
AI
ones
on
that
them.
Kathleen was talking about, the
Yes.
teleprompter in the glasses. That
In the
is wild."
glasses. So you won't be able to see it, and it's all there digitally. And I can have the whole teleprompter there. I can have the time, weather. I can have questions with AI, and it'll show up here, and we can have a conversation, and it's all right on the screen.
How can I get those?
I think it's Even Realities, and that's who makes them. So
That
yeah,
is wild. So how that is wild. So,
yeah,
and I'm only saying that because I have used a teleprompter a couple of times. Like I did a collaboration with FabFitFun, and I had like 5 days worth of recording to do. And they're like, "Oh, well, we brought you a teleprompter just in case you didn't memorize everything." And I was like, "Now you tell me." Like I spent so long like trying to memorize my opening and close and all the in between. And they had a teleprompter, but it's old school. It's like, and I thought at the time it was pretty genius because you're looking into the
yeah.
camera, but the words, it looks like you're looking into the camera, but the words are up on the screen. But this is actually glasses that it comes up on the glasses. Well, how does somebody, if they're nearsighted or farsighted, how does that affect seeing the teleprompter?
They do actually have prescription lens that you can buy, and they'll change it. And then when you're looking at it, it's not here. It's actually 20 feet in front of you.
That is wild. So it doesn't look like you're going cross-eyed, I take it.
No, no.
Because I'm like,
And then
how does that work?
it's crazy. And I want to do, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to show you a couple of quick hacks. And to me, I recently did a TED Talk, and I just want to walk you through some AI, the way I did it. I used AI to help me come up with the best words when I apply. So the application had keywords that were picked by AI. When I applied, they wanted a video. And I asked the AI, here's what I want to talk about. Give me what hand motions, should I turn my head, what I should do. I went really into the weeds. And so when I presented, I did everything almost like won't say textbook, but the way it could be delivered. And I practiced, and I recorded it. Then I decided, let me take all my notes that I use and write a book. And so I wrote a book on my TED Talk of how the whole process, how I did the TED Talk, what I did, the whole application. And I released this the day I spoke on my TED Talk. And in my TED Talk, I talk about using coloring book and comic strips. And I thought, let me just do this for kicks. So then all of this is AI generated pictures, comics, just for fun. And it correlates with my TED Talk for the book. And I'm not trying to sell any of these.
No,
My whole
no,
thing
I
was
am
just to
buying that
promote
book.
it.
I'm buying that book for my mastermind members.
Oh, the TED Talk,
Tell
and then
us
what
the
I
name of the book so everybody knows.
yes, it is Journey to TEDx Stage, and it's my first talk, and it's Harvey Castro.
That is unbelievable. You're amazing.
So that was
I mean,
fun.
I am amazed at all that you do. I mean, it's when you tell somebody you're a doctor, that's impressive. But you're like, okay, yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm an advisor to all the like biggest countries in the world, and I've developed iPhone apps and I work with Chat GPT. I have several, ER businesses. It's like unbelievable. And I'm an author. How many books have you written? I thought it was two, right? Two?
No, that no, I think all in it's probably about 18, 20, something
What?
like
How
that.
did I miss that?
If you go on Amazon and type in Harvey Castro, you'll see the first book I wrote was called Success Reinvention, and I'm in the middle of doing a movie script for it. My goal is to submit it to the movie studio here in about 3 months and see if they'll accept it.
Oh my goodness. So what movie studio is it a top secret? Can you tell me what movie
Uh,
studio?
I have two. One person that has a strong relationship is wanting me to sign, and then someone else hit me up for the same. So I'm gonna write the script, and I'm about 2 episodes in, and then submit that, and then see what both sides will offer.
Oh, that is awesome. Because one of my clients is a producer at Sony. So that's why I was asking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we might have to talk some more there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think every time we talk, new ideas just get
Yeah.
sparked and keep on coming.
And
Um,
I do want to share one more quick interesting
yes.
hack.
Tell
This
us some
one,
stories. Tell us some stuff. This is
this
good.
one, this is kind of an interesting hack that I know you're gonna think this is wild. So whenever this goes out, let's get the transcript to this conversation. We'll take the transcript, and I'm gonna have you. I'll do it for you, and I'll show you my steps. We'll put it into this thing called Notebook by Google LLM, and what it'll do is it'll take the transcript and make a podcast of the podcast. But it gets better. Once we do that, you and I can have a conversation with this transcript. What did we talk about? What kind of things came out of it? But then what will be even more fun is I'll have you do it. You click on it and you can ask a question to the podcast in real time and it'll generate the answer to it.
That is wild. Well, for the first time I'm trying to get better about posting on Facebook. And I had a friend of mine who I was interviewing on his podcast, and underneath the picture, it had AI generated questions and
Mm-hmm.
info
Yeah.
about the picture, but a lot of them were wrong. Like,
Yes.
yeah, a lot like. And I know I'm not that well known. So other Amberleys, like there's a famous, horseback rider that was paralyzed and so they were bringing up some of the information about her. Some of the stuff about me was correct, but other stuff they had the wrong last name or yeah. So is that just going to continue to get better and better, or is it the fact that you have to be in the media more for AI to really get to know who you are and more about you?
Excellent question. And I honestly think the answer is yes to both. As time evolves, the database will get better and better. Keep in mind, the internet was downloaded twice for ChatGPT. So if your information was out there, it got downloaded. And yes, there's many people that are similar. And then the more information you have on there, the better. Now, not to go into the weeds, if I took your profile, say your LinkedIn profile, and I put it into the memory of ChatGPT, moving forward, every time you speak, every time you do anything, it'll know who you are, what you are, and it'll always use that information for, you know how we always get bios when you give a speak, they're like, give me your bio. Now what I do is I upload my LinkedIn profile because I keep it pretty stacked. And then if I'm giving a talk, let's say it's on entrepreneurship, I say, give me a bio for entrepreneurs that of my bio and give me the right words. And then I give it to you. Now it's very customized for what you're doing, what highlights me that would be interesting for an entrepreneur. And so you can do that little hack.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, so for example, for my chat GPT, because I've used it and I've plugged in stuff about my new book and the synopsis for my new book. And so it now has that in its database. If I were to go in and copy and paste all my information for LinkedIn and put it into my chat GPT, it would then be stored in that chat GPT database.
Yes, and there's a memory feature when you log in, and as long as you turn it on and you say add this to your memory, it'll be there
Oh, that's
always
key. Add
for
it
all
to
your
your
chats, for
memory.
everything. That's the key. So anything you wanted to know about you, that's what I do for me. So I all my whatever I wanted to know, I put it there, and then anytime I want to extract, so all these TED Talks that I'm applying to, it takes it. Any talk, it takes it, and it's always there
Oh,
and customized.
okay, memory on Chat GPT. Um, every time I talk to you, I take notes. Literally every time I talk to you. Um, so you're applying for other TED Talks.
Yes, I'm a little OCD. The day I got back from giving my TED Talk, I started applying for more. My goal was I wanted one every year. So I did one in October and I just submitted another. I forget. They sent me an email saying I was in the top 24, and if I sent the video, they're gonna pick 10 people by January 13th. So I sent the
Wow,
video
that's
today
right around the corner.
to be
Uh,
notified, and then if I do it, it'll be in late April.
okay. So, how does someone who's listening who really wants to get a TED Talk, what besides buying your book, y'all go buy his
Yes.
book, several of his books, but at least the one for TED Talk for sure. How does somebody go about getting, even doing a submission for a TED Talk?
Yeah, I would start local. So wherever you are, say we're in Dallas, Texas, find out where the next local, I know there's one in South Lake, one in Dallas, when the next TED Talk will be. And then they usually have that information on TED.com, but you can look specifically for the Dallas one or that's so whatever's closest to you. And then literally you just apply. Some of them is ongoing, meaning that they're not taken anywhere right now, but they let you apply. So that way, when it comes time, they look at all the applications. They usually go once a year and literally they do TEDx talks around the world. Now,
Hmm.
once you apply, then they'll go through and if you make the first cut, then they usually have you interview and it's usually a video that you submit. And then if you get it, then you go on to do your TEDx. And then if you do well on that, then it could elevate you to a true TED.com talk. And then that would be national.
Yeah, and they're very specific because when I did my TEDx talk, I was hoping and praying that they would put it on TED.com, and they did, thank goodness. But also a mistake that I made. I mean, it was my very first talk, and it was in front of thousands. It was at Berkeley. It was
Oh,
at their 10th
wow.
year anniversary.
Wow.
And the mistake that I made was, I mean, back then I didn't have a podcast. I wasn't really a speaker. I mean, at all. I was the only one that didn't have a PhD. In fact, everyone was a doctor. And I did not title my talk well. It wasn't like they didn't have Chat GPT back then. I didn't, put it in Chat GPT. What's a good title for my talk? And my title wasn't something that was like a searchable title. I think it's very important if you want to do a TED Talk that you have a title that is very, like it's searchable. It's something that people
Yes.
want to know about. And
Agree.
obviously the topics you're talking about are hot topics and your talks are going to go viral, but I think that's so inspiring that you want to do one a year and you're already doing that, submitting that application. That is amazing. um, Tell me before we go, I know we're running out of time and I can literally talk to you for hours because I'm so
Same here.
fascinated with all that you share, but explain one of something that you've come up with, which I'm more comfortable with doing because I had a company that is like, Yeah, we have AI go through all your email and it'll tell you exactly what you need to read and what you don't and this and that. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. I mean, I don't, I'm the only one that reads my email. Like, I'm not sure about that. That was a little uncomfortable for me. But you have something that's different where I could just go, okay, I don't have time to read all these emails, so I'm going to send it. I'm comfortable sending this over to AI, and AI will go in and, well, you tell it. How
Yeah,
you explained it to me, which made it seem so much more like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
yeah. At the end of the day, everything is about privacy. We want to make sure that we are conscientious what we put into ChatGPT. And I think most people, if they get a long email, I had a friend of mine that I call him book emails. He would send me literally like 10-page emails, and I'd say, dude, you're sending me books, and had like all these attachments. And I would always star them and I would put them in a folder to read, and I would never read them because I was like, I need to read this, but I never would. And I thought, what if I could just forward those emails, and within a minute or two, I would get back key points. I'm really big into pictures, so I put a mind map, and then it gives you a mind map. And then I use all the top things of how we make decisions, like the 80-20 rule, just different things like that. And then it replies with all those things. So then you can look at it from 10,000 feet high and be like, oh, they're covering this, this, and this. Here are the key points. And then I thought, not everybody knows ChatGPT, not many people want to use it, but everybody uses email, at least my opinion. And I thought, let me make what's the next year, the big year, it's going to be the agent of AI. And so what I created is, say you're a mom or dad that's looking to buy a family car because you have a family of six and you have four kids and you need to buy an SUV. So what we created is you go on the email, you forward and saying, I'm looking for an SUV that fits six people that is safe and I want it under 80K. It'll do all the research, go through all of it, and then you'll get an email back with the criteria, where he got it, and there's no ads, and there's the email with all that information.
Gosh,
So it
that's
does both of those
amazing.
things. Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
amazing.
cool.
Okay, have you invented something yet for when now people don't usually call. They'll send me voice memos through text, and I'm not kidding you. I have some people that leave me 6-minute voice memos by text, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a break. I don't have time to listen to that right now.
Mm.
I'll come back to it. Well, then I forget about it because I've already opened it on my phone, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it. Is there anything out there that will summarize a 6-minute voice memo through a DM or a DM
Yeah,
or I mean, what's great on Instagram now is you can actually listen to it like at twice the speed. And I think
yeah,
that you can finally hold the button down on a text message and it will do double speed
yeah,
finally. But is there anything out there that will summarize a 6-minute voice memo?
yeah. You, in theory, you know how like I don't know if you're using. Do you use an iPhone? I'm curious.
Yeah.
So on the iPhone, you know how when they leave you, it gives you all the text. You could take that text, copy it, and then paste it onto ChatGPT and say, "Give me the summary," and then it'll just give you the high points of what was said in that conversation.
See, that is so good. I love that idea. What are some other things that you have implemented into your, daily life that, because with all that you're doing, and I love going after big dreams and trying new things. And my husband thinks I'm crazy. He's like, Amberly, you don't have to do so much, but I'm so curious and I'm always wanting to learn and grow and I want to do this and that. And what are some of the things that you use now that allow you to do all the speaking that you're doing all the TV appearances, taking time to be on the podcast, submitting TEDx talks, writing books? What is something that you could give listeners that you're going to go, I know this is going to save you time if you start to implement this one thing?
Yeah. I'm really big on YouTube. I love listening to YouTubes and what's trending. And I know I don't have enough hours to listen to them all. And so what I've started doing, you're gonna laugh at this. I will take 4 or 5 of the podcasts that I want to listen to, and YouTube will transcribe all of them now. And so I
Wait, what
take
will
the
you do? Wait, what?
it takes the it does a transcription. If not, there's websites that'll give you a transcription of what was said during the YouTube. So imagine it's a 2 hour YouTube. I take the transcription and I paste it into ChatGPT, and I have my own GPT, but let's just say prompt set up where it gives me the summary and the key points. And literally I just post it, and within seconds I get all the high points that was said, the summary, and the core knowledge that I need to know. Then I go through it, and if it's something that I really want to listen to, I do. And if it's something like, okay, I got the high points and what they're trying to teach, then I go on to the next podcast. And I do, I like 10 of those. And then any books that I can find out there, I do the same thing with books. So that way I get the core concepts of what's
So
trying to
you
be
will
taught.
literally get the transcript, or will you take the whole manuscript?
Yeah, the whole manuscript. And if I get my hands on the book manuscript, yes. Or if I get the YouTube that talks, whole 2 hour, like Lex Friedman, it's like 3 8 hour podcasts. I can't listen to all that. So I'll just take the entire transcript and then get all the core points of what was taught. And then if I want to really geek out, I have a conversation with the podcast on chatting, and I'll go through with the key points and what was said. And then in my brain, I convert it to whatever industry. So if I'm working on industry A, I'll take that podcast and say, okay, apply these principles for entrepreneurship, apply these principles for healthcare. And then it doesn't have anything to do with it, but those core concepts apply in other verticals. And then I'll apply it into that. And then I extract that with the AI. Then I take that to another level.
Wow, that is taking it to another level. But you said something very important about you've put in the prompts, you know the prompts. And so I highly suggest if you're new to ChatGPT or new to AI, go have fun with it. Go play. I love it. In fact, when my daughter and I first discovered ChatGPT, of course, she was trying to get it to say bad stuff about people politically. She's very into politics and it would not say anything bad. I'm like, Ruby, see, that's why you don't talk bad. Chat GPT won't even talk bad. Stop it. She's a character. But then it's really fun to start asking it, asking Chat GPT questions. And I highly suggest you go in there and put into Chat GPT who is Amberly Lago? I put it in there and I wanted to see what it would say, so it's kind of, it can be fun, but then I love saying, if I don't like something that it has said, like if I'm brainstorming ideas and I don't like what it says, I'll say, give me another, give me
Mm-hmm.
another. And I will tell you, true story, funny, when I first got on, I was asking it to give me something. I don't know if it was I think it was a blog or something. And then, or maybe it was like an elevator pitch or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was not in my voice. And so I said, now give me the same information but with a Texas accent. And it came out and it was like, oh my goodness, I would never talk like that. And I said, now give me something that doesn't sound as much like a hick. And I'm like, then it said something and it sounded more of like my voice. My husband would beg to differ about that. But so how can people start to learn about some of the apps that you have created and some of the AI that you have created? Because I really like the systems that you have created. And I really encourage y'all to go watch his YouTube. Also, go grab his book, but also go look at his YouTube videos because they're very, very informative. You've sent me some that I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm sharing this with my mastermind group. But how can people specifically work with some of the AI that you've created?
Yeah, come to my website. It's just my name, Harvey Castro, MD, as in medicaldoctor.com. And on the website, I have blogs. Anytime Fox News features me, I put it on there. Anything I write is on there. And I haven't had in my business products. That one's under thegptpodcast.com. And we'll put that in the show notes. Just as an aside, March of last year, I cloned my voice and I could take any blog, paste it into this program that we created, and it creates a fake conversation between my business partner and I using our voices. And then within 5 minutes, it does a podcast with the video, I'm sorry, with the audio clip that we put in Spotify with all the text, emojis, description, and it's pretty fluid about whatever topic. It's crazy. And we did that March of
That's
last year.
that is kind of scary though, I have to say.
It is. It is kind of crazy. And I even gave it to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, what do you think of my podcast?" She's like, "Man, you sound great." And I was like, "Mom, that wasn't me. That was all AI."
That's kind of scary.
Yes.
That's like Terminator stuff.
It is very out there. It's crazy.
Remember like in
Oh yeah.
Terminator when the robot would like call and it
Yes.
was he could
Yes.
change his
Ooh,
voice?
I just saw that about a week ago again. I had to see it with my son. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, that is exactly like Terminator. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, that's kind of wild. Okay, one more question. Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
feel like soon that AI is going to put copywriters, sales copywriters out of business, editors out of business, and podcast editors out of business?
I think I call it the great shift. I think your job description will change. Depending on the shift, you may have to shift so much that you may be out of that particular job. But I call it your years of experience, the humanity, your entrepreneurship, your secret sauce of what makes you you. You take that plus AI, and together it's going to beat the other human or the best AI out there. So keep that in mind that it's using both will beat out anything else. And I think you'll still be and have a job, you'll still be able to do stuff because you have years of experience.
That was a mic drop moment right there. That's key. You're going to put a lot of people that's awesome. So tell us one more time where people can find you,
Yes,
your
ma'am.
website.
It is Harvey Castro, MD.com. And then all my social media, it's the same. It's Harvey Castro MD as well. So anything, Twitter, uh, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm on all of that on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, if you found value in this conversation, please take a screenshot, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or you're watching on YouTube or whatever your favorite podcast platform is, and tag Dr. Harvey Castro and tag me at Amberly Lago Motivation. When I see that, I always share it in my story, and it makes me so happy that you took the time to listen to the show. Um, and go have fun using AI. It's awesome. And please make sure you subscribe to the show, write a review, tell me what you want to hear more of. I love feedback. It helps me know what you like and what I can bring more of to you. And Dr. Harvey Castro, thank you so much with your just luminous success and your very busy, hectic, packed schedule that you took the time to be on the show. And thank you for all that you do. When you sending me a text about Amberly, try this. Oh, here, Amberly, watch this. Amberly, try this. Please always send me that stuff because I love to learn and that's so helpful for me. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. And y'all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week.